Here's 4 of my favorite calorie-dense foods that I plant in the garden. Produces more food than we can eat. We give away quite a bit every year. You can do this too. And got here just in time. Taking a little break. How many leaves can you watch me move? I'm still winterizing the garden. You know, I said you don't have to do it all in one day. I'm still moving 6 or 7 wheelbarrow loads. And at my age, that's about as much as I want to put on here. But today, I thought we'd look at what kind of plants you can plant to get the most food. Here's my list of the 4 most calorie-dense foods you can plant in your garden with the least amount of work. Obviously, there's a bunch of plants that have a lot of nutrition to them, but I want to look at what produces the most food for the least amount of work. You might think beets would be on my top 4. It's a wonderful plant. It's got a lot of nutrition. You can eat 20% of the leaves and it'll still keep growing, but it's still one seed, one plant. Radishes is another one that produces a lot of food, and you can eat the leaves. You actually get more food out of the seed heads than you do out of the little bulb. There's quite a few greens, Swiss chard, collard greens, mustard greens, where you can cut and come again. You can take an awful lot of leaves, and they have some nutrients, but that's still not on the top 4. Sweet potatoes. One slip, one hill. And depending on your conditions, you can get an awful lot of sweet potatoes out of one little slip. Reason is number 4 is it is a root crop, and there are critters that like it as much as we do. Zucchini can produce an awful lot of food, but it's susceptible to squash bugs and vine borers. So there's another one that on a good year, you're going to get a bunch of food. Number 3 on my list in the squash family is butternut squash. There's several different varieties. Some of them grow quite large and they're quite dense, and they last a long time throughout the winter. So if you get a decent little harvest on them, you can start eating them just as soon as you start picking them, but you can last well into the winter, all the way to spring if you're lucky. And recently I found out that turnips and butternut squash are one of my favorite foods. This is pole beans. Once they start coming on, if you stay after them and you keep picking those beans, they'll keep producing right up to the frost. And you can put an awful lot of beans away. And for this year, number 1 on my list is Cushaw melons. Just look at the size of that. I'm gonna have to put some metal cages around them. We had some critters that liked them as much as we did. I grew 15 of these. We only were able to get 2 of them into the house without any damage. The critters just took it, just chewed the heck out of them. They've got a wonderful little mild flavor. They mix well with a bunch of different food, and they last well into the winter. There are a whole list of plants that taste great, have a lot of nutrients in them. I'm talking about the ones you're going to get the most food out with the least amount of work. If you add those all together, you'll be able to eat well in the winter. Now you're going to say I left tomatoes off the list. They do produce quite a little bit of food, and in the deep mulch, they seem to have less problems than traditional gardening. And cherry tomatoes, definitely. The thing about tomatoes is they don't last very long. You got to do something with them immediately. Pole beans freeze really well. Sweet potatoes, all you have to do is once they're cured, they last. Cushaw melons and the other squashes, once they cure, they last. The only reason I'm picking these 4 is ease of growing and ease of storing. I'm sure you have a bunch more on your list. Leave a comment down below and tell me what your favorite nutrient-dense food is. I know right now everybody's winterizing their gardens, thinking about what they're going to plant for next year. Art was out putting leaves on his garden, and look what he came across. Art's broccoli was blooming enough, he had a nice mess for Christmas dinner. Art, gotta love your deep mulch, thank you. Well, let's go down to Zone 8 and take a look at what Mike and Linda have discovered for their Christmas dinner. I think we've got a winner here. Mike may be winterizing his garden and refreshing the mulch, but he still has red tomatoes on the vine. Mike, Linda, thank you for showing us what's possible in a deep mulch garden. Please leave a comment down below and let everybody know how much you appreciate them sharing what's going on in their garden. And if you'd like to be part of this, help motivate people and show exactly what's possible out in the garden, all you have to do is send a photo in now and again. There's no obligation. Although I do want to thank everybody that supported this channel. I can't express how much it means to me to receive all the wonderful viewer comments. When I started this channel, really it was because I didn't want to weed anymore. And when I found a way that grow with less work and more food, I thought folks might be interested. So I'm just trying to share some information. And the support that you've given me makes it worth coming out here day after day and to show you just exactly what's possible in a garden. I'm adding a new book to my reading list on my Amazon page. It's kind of like what we're doing here in the garden. Tiny changes, remarkable results. An easy, proven way to build good habits and break bad ones. I'm about 3/4 of the way through. And I can apply this to my real life, I can apply this to work, and I can apply this to the garden. Might be a book you want to pick up. And while you're on my reading list, you want a little more information about building healthy soil? You wouldn't hurt my feelings if you picked my book up also. I better go get another load of leaves before it gets dark. Remember, you can do this too. And until next time, take care of yourself, take care of your family, and God bless you. Come on, let's plant.
Let's go plant garden.